welcome to your Daily Writing Habit, episode number 432. If you're writing a book or thinking about it or trying to finish a book you've started or trying to help promote your book, you are in the right place. Good morning and happy Tuesday. I'm your host, Christine Whitmarsh, also known as Christine Inc., like that stuff you write with. Each day I'm sharing with you the writing habits I've learned over my 18 years as a ghostwriter, book coach, and author. I have found that 3 things in particular have a huge impact on your success as an author, and they have the ability to turn a quote-unquote non-author into a published one. Those 3 things are writing fundamentals, productivity, and mindset habits. Here's today's quote. Almost always, the creative, dedicated minority has made the world better. Martin Luther King Jr. Well, once again, good morning, happy Tuesday, and the understatement of the century, perhaps, would be we've all had a lot going on this year. In fact, if we look at past years where it seemed like we've had a lot going on, it seems like the challenges were being tossed at us around every corner. I actually can't think of another year that would even come close to 2020. We've had financial recession and wars and social unrest and even more minor versions of disease in the past, but not like all of those things at the same time and to the nth degree, to the point of not all of those things to the nth degree in like 3 months. So let's talk about how we're handling, what kind of feels like getting stuck in front of a baseball pitching machine in the high setting with no way out. Now, many people are using social media as a way of venting their feelings, no matter what those feelings might be. And there are those, on the other hand, who would and are quite vocally implying that if you're not communicating your point of view, particularly on the issue, the social issues of racial inequality, things like that on social media, you're kind of doing it wrong. And I respectfully disagree with that as kind of an introvert myself, believe it or not. And I'll also play the age card and remind you that the internet and social media was a late addition to my life and other people in my generation. By the time it came to the scene, we already had well-established mechanisms of expressing ourselves, dealing with challenges, talking to others, and just kind of operating and functioning and figuring out this life as, we're all trying to figure out life together here. And as a mostly withdrawn, private, lifelong writer, I tend to figure out stuff by, you guessed it, writing about it. The primary goal of this is to sort it out and figure out how I feel, to get these thoughts out of my own head. And for me, that's just a thing about figuring out how I feel about something before I just start talking about it. So then, of course, once it's processed and I figure out the purpose of my words, sometimes those words will, of course, see the light of day. As authors, our work doesn't exist in a vacuum. So some of those words are just for me, some are for other people, but my process is I need to write it out and figure out how I feel about things before I just start, telling the world. So what is my point? Well, first of all, make sure you are getting your own thoughts out during these challenging times. Because as much as you may think you are clear on what you think, you can't be entirely sure until you see those words out of your head and on paper. People joke that this year is sponsored by wine, but I'd like to add journaling to the list of official sponsors of 2020. Get it out, write it out, and figure out how you feel about it, whatever that it may be. And for those of you who are using social media as a place to express yourself, totally cool. We all have different ways. They're all correct. How else are you capturing your words, though? Because in all honesty, I'm looking at various posts and comments. I'm very, very much observing, as good authors do. We are professional observers. And I'm often seeing some pretty brilliant, well-written thoughts by many of you on social media, whether in your own posts or through commenting on others. So I'm seeing this brilliance, words that as a people, we would somehow be wise to somehow capture for the historical record. And at the moment, that historical record appears to be a website called Facebook. But remember, Facebook is a website that none of us owns. What if it disappeared tomorrow and took all your observations from this historic time? And yes, this is a very historic time in history. What if the historic record was wiped clean tomorrow? And no, this is not my completely unsubtle way of encouraging you to write a book. Well, not yet anyway. But if you are expressing yourself publicly online, please, I would encourage you, keep track of these valuable thoughts and insights somewhere else. Keep a record of them somewhere that is your own, that can't potentially disappear tomorrow. Because really, as a society, how else will we learn moving forward? We need to learn not just from actions. There's a lot of, speak through your actions, but, words are incredibly valuable. So I hope you're capturing your words, because we need a record of this time. Very cognizant of that, of like, this is how legacies and historical records are created through our words. And again, we're working from the assumption that Facebook might not be around forever. So keep a record of this time, as crazy as it may be, while living it. Because remember, author J.R.R. Tolkien allegedly came up with the initial ideas for Lord of the Rings while serving as a soldier in the trenches of World War I. And that may seem weird to hear, but this is the good stuff. As far as writing is concerned, this is where we have the potential to come up with our most profound, world-changing ideas. This is not the time to rest and simply wait. Get the rest. I don't want to make it seem like I'm discouraging self-care and, all the mental resets that you need to do to be healthy. Please do that. But I'm saying don't simply, wait in the trenches for sunny days to return, because sometimes the sunny days aren't exactly creatively inspirational. So, make a record of this time. We all need to be making a record of this time together, and make sure that we take ownership of that record as well. So get those thoughts out of your head on paper for your own mental wellness, and then keep a record somewhere for the future. Thank you for joining me here on Your Daily Writing Habit, where I am helping you write and finish writing an awesome book. And please drop by my Ink Authors group on Facebook, speaking of a record, and drop your thoughts there. Again, make sure your thoughts are also in your journal and other places, but would love to hear them as well at Ink Authors on Facebook. Specifically, your thoughts about how we can support you as an author. Ink Authors on Facebook. Until tomorrow, happy writing.